The Democrats and fair-minded people are going to make Donald Trump pay the price politically for having pardoned all those violent criminals known as the Jan 6 defendants, including those that attacked mercilessly law enforcement. How do we do that? How do we do that? How do we use it? What's the difference between a pardon and a commutation of sentence? Why does it matter? We tell you on Legal AF. Here's the After Dark edition.
Let's switch gears. Let's talk about the January 6th insurrectionist pardons. The way it was described as Donald Trump was supposed to only pardon, still would have been horrific, the so-called nonviolent insurrectionists. Donald Trump had Pam Bondi, his AG pick, testify, and she said that she was supportive of the nonviolent but not the violent. So she's already been undermined by Donald Trump. J.D. Vance did the weekend shows before saying that there wouldn't be pardons of the violent insurrectionists, like the leadership of these terroristic groups like the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers. But apparently Donald Trump was getting the pardon list and he was asking about the people. And then Trump just lost patience and he literally said, F it. All of them get pardoned. All of them get commuted. And then that's how it happened. That was the lack of temperament. And then everybody got pardoned. Everyone got commuted. And then the federal judiciary had to respond. Popok, break it down what happened there.
You literally could not, stay down for 1 minute, Ben. You literally could not write a book. Like Bob Woodward could not write a book about the process that was used by Donald Trump to grant these pardons, or even a chapter, because literally from inside the room, we have intel that he got frustrated about a quarter of the way in, threw up his hands, and literally, as you said F it, and pardoned them all. That's the process. So it's not like you can't write a book about the process. That was the process, which is scary for the guy that's got his finger on the nuclear button. That's a scary window into his mental executive function that we should keep a close eye on as this administration continues. Because if that's how he's going to make decisions.
Exactly. It's why you and I always talk about temperament, character. It's why these oligarchs and CEOs who would never allow anybody even like a Trump in their organization, the fact that they've kissed the ring, character, temperament, leadership, the past ability to deal with challenges. That's why you and I have talked about this type of stuff for this exact reason.
Yeah. So let's talk about the pardons themselves and fundamentally. First of all, he was so lazy, more lazy thinking, that I thought, you and I predicted this. I said there's going to be 1,600 to 2,000 pardons in the first few hours. There's more coming. He's not done pardoning the MAGA Congress people and everybody else. First wave was going to be the 1,600 or 1,500 or 1,600. And I thought, okay, well, at least there'll be the names attached, like an Excel spreadsheet. You know, they have plenty of people on staff. They could have had that drafted up. And I get it. And it just says, everybody will get a pardon. And I direct my Attorney General and Bureau of Prisons, everybody to work it out. I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but only slightly. That was a half a paragraph, except for 8 or 9 that they listed that he didn't, that were even too much for him to pardon, which was mainly Oath Keepers and Proud Boys, but not all Oath Keepers and Proud Boys. And they got commutation of a sentence. Quick legal AF breakout session. Under the clemency powers and the pardon powers of the president, he can either pardon you, which is an absolute pardon for a given period of time, or an absolute pardon forever for any crime that you had committed or will commit, or that you've been convicted of, or if in the future prosecuted for. It's both backward looking and forward looking. You can get that kind of pardon. So that's pardon. Commutation of a sentence means the person got sentenced, the conviction stays on the books. They're still a convicted felon, but their sentence has been reduced to 0, or if it was something like life, a death penalty, like Joe Biden did, converted into something else. So converted into, this case, in my example, life imprisonment without possibility of parole. That's called commutation. The difference is obvious. One, you're guilty, but your badge of guilt is taken off the books. And on the other, it stays on the books, but you're out of jail. That's why we saw Enrique Tarrio, of all people, who was sentenced to the highest sentence of any of the Jan 6 defendants, because it was proved, let's just remind ourselves of justice, it was proved beyond a reasonable doubt in front of a jury that he committed the crime of seditious conspiracy, which is the attempted violent overthrow of our government. Sounds bad, right? And he got 22 years, I think, from Judge Mehta. And he got by the time the ink wasn't even dry on the signing ceremony for this pardon thing we just put up, Enrique Tarrio was on a plane to Miami, already processed and checked out of jails and prisons. I'm not making that up. Now, this other group got commuted. So Stuart Rhodes, the Yale law grad that couldn't figure out how to clean a weapon and lost an eye as a result, the guy with the eye patch, his guilty verdict stays, but he got released from prison. He had 18 years on the books, and the rest, Donald Trump effectively wiped out 100 years plus of prison sentences for some of the most hardened, violent criminals. These are the ones that planned paramilitary operations and tactical operations to storm the Capitol, organize the rabble of all these people, whether they had law enforcement training or military training or not, and turn them into a vicious, not mob, a vicious, organized, on the fly, with communication devices and hand signals and commands, as if they were in battle, like on the battlefield. They were in battle on the battlefield against democracy and led the charge. That's how that all happened, because of them. So the judges of the federal court in D.C. are linking arms spiritually, not actually, and they are opposing Donald Trump and his pardons the only way they know how. If they're forced off of a pardon to dismiss an indictment or to take take something off the books, again, this is all pre-conviction. If they had somebody that's still in the hopper that hasn't yet gone to trial or hasn't yet been sentenced, they're writing long orders, preserving for posterity purposes all of the bad things these people did, and speaking to history and to others, telling them that we can't whitewash, we can't sane wash any of these things. We'll put up some quotes in a minute I'm talking about Judge Chutkan, who presided over Donald Trump's election interference case, that no, you can't whitewash the what's the quote, Ben? I don't have it in front of me. The feces and what else?
Yeah, you can whitewash the feces, the urine, the piss, the blood that's soaked on the walls from the people who tried to overthrow our democracy and kill cops. You can give them these pardons and commutations because you now have the power to do so, but history will remember what you did, and we should never forget about this as a warning about the abuse of power. So and by the way, Popok, these DC judges, these federal judges, all of the cases that are going to deal with a lot of the inner workings of agencies, they work their way through the DC courts, the DC circuits. These
executive orders that you and I are talking about and the way that Donald Trump's going to govern, they're going to mainly go through the DC courts and these same judges. So keep an eye on, and we will. These, we're putting up our poster here in our bedrooms for heroes. Beryl Howell, the former chief judge of the court, now a judge on the court. Amy Berman Jackson, Amit Mehta, Tanya Chutkan, and Judge Catelli. They've all linked arms, some of which have said, yeah, I got to dismiss the indictment because that's what the Article 2 president did, but I'm going to do it without prejudice, meaning a future Department of Justice could bring another case against you. There's no double jeopardy, and good luck to you, and get out of my courtroom. A couple of judges did it that way. Judge Mehta, who we're going to talk about now, he decided that that because it wasn't a pardon, it was clemency and the commutation of the sentence, that he's still administering justice and can set post-release conditions. So he put a condition on the Oath Keepers, and in particular on Stuart Rhodes, that you're out of jail, but you're still under my auspices, and you can't visit the Capitol anymore. You can't visit the Capitol anymore. You're a danger to the community, effectively, because unless you get my permission, get the court's permission. Well, I said one of two things was going to happen. Either Stuart Rhodes and his group were going to file a motion, or the government, meaning Trump, was going to step in. Within hours, I think 2 hours later, Trump filed a 2-page motion, his Department of Justice, trying to tell the judge that he does not have the power to set post-release conditions like that, because that's violative of the pardon power of the president, citing no cases. And the one case they did cite from the United States Supreme Court, I read it, doesn't really stand for that proposition. Mehta, I believe, has what he needs to make his ruling on a motion to vacate the order. I think he's going to deny it. It's going to go up to the D.C. Appellate Court, which has been favorable for democracy in the past. And then it can go to the United States Supreme Court, and they can make a decision as to whether, even with commutation of a sentence, a federal judge loses their power to set conditions of release. Now, there is a way to solve this problem, which I've been waiting. I've been checking the feeds to see it. Donald Trump just has to wave a pardon wand and decide to pardon these people. Now, for whatever reason, he chose not to pardon those people, only to give them commutation of a sentence. But if he wants to fix Mehta's wagon, so to speak, he just issues a pardon, which he's allowed to do after the fact, and it solves the whole problem. So we're going to have to keep an eye on what Donald Trump does. I think he waits for Mehta to rule, but before it goes to an appellate court, he may just solve his own problem through a full pardon of these people. What do you think, Ben?
Yeah, it's just Trump's DOJ is taking the position that all of these people, even who Trump commuted, should not have conditions attached to them. I just want you to, they're going out of their way to do that. Like they could just leave it and just be like, whatever. I mean, the judge is saying there are some conditions attached to the most violent people who are commuted. Like just check in with the judge if you're going to go to the Capitol, right? And then Trump's DOJ is like, nope, that's where they belong. Inside the Capitol, the Oath Keepers, the Proud Boys.
But we know why. We know why. We're going to talk about it after our break or whatever. Because Donald Trump has been lobbied by the Jan 6th insurrectionist families constantly. He feels he owes them something, and so he's always going to side with them against democracy and the rule of law. Just like we're going to see when we tell the sordid tale of how Ross Ulbricht, the creator of the Silk Road illicit drug, heroin, and cocaine distribution, a dark web, how did he get out? Because his mommy, speaking of daddies, because his mommy and the libertarians of all things have been lobbying the crap out of Trump to let this kid out because they see him as the poster boy of libertarianism, and he's a crypto bro of the First Order.
Bingo, specifically the latter part there, that the Silk Road facilitated a lot of shady commerce. Shady would be putting it nicely. The conviction was for trafficking, terrorist weapons, the most horrific conduct. So Ross Ulbricht was a hero among the people in the dark web who launder money and shuffle money. And that's one of the main reasons why Donald Trump, who's now in meme coins and crypto stuff and scammy coins and all of these things, it's always traces back to Donald Trump. And, the one of the main reasons why he pardoned these January 6th insurrectionists.
Welcome back. We do the show on Wednesdays and Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. I do it Wednesdays with Karen Freeman at Nifolo, Saturdays with the co-founder Michael Popok, that's me, and Ben Meiselas. And then it's on audio podcast platforms of your choice. We sit at the intersection of law and politics so that you don't have to. And we've got a brand new Legal AF YouTube channel called what else? Legal AF MTN. Legal AF, the Midas Touch Network. So join us over there as we continue to march towards 500,000 subscribers in our first half anniversary or half birthday. So until my next reporting, I'm Michael Popok. In collaboration with the Midas Touch Network, we just launched the Legal AF YouTube channel. Help us build this pro-democracy channel where I'll be curating the top stories, the intersection of law and politics. Go to YouTube now and free subscribe at Legal AF MTN. That's at Legal AF MTN.